do, and I'm really pleased with the number of people in groups that sent me their emails, because it means that we can really work on the idea of you creating your own living curriculum today. For 4 days, I've largely led the workshop. I've really tried to engage with you and understand some of your issues. But today really is your day, and I shall come around groups one at a time to see how you're getting on with the kind of inquiries which I can see from your emails that you're already working on. Now, you know how difficult it is for you to come and just talk in front of me with the microphone. But is there anything you want to start the day with in terms of your own ideas or issues? Because I want to give you all, as I say, this opportunity just to come to the front, to talk to colleagues, and if you want to take advantage of that at the moment, as you think about the workshops, think about anything you want to do today, and just come to the front and just say so. Is there anybody that wants to do that before I move into the various emails that I've had, trying to check that I've understood what you're really interested in so that you can create your own curriculum today? Is there anybody that would like to come up and just share an idea, or just talk to the group for a little while? Don't all rush at once, you're okay. You sure? Okay, don't hesitate at any point during the day. If you want to come up to the microphone and raise something with the group, please do so. It's very important. Now, what I'd like to do over the next few minutes is to ensure you can start working together in your groups to develop your action research, if you wish to do so, for example, over the next 12 months. If you were to have a workshop promoted by IBST, say in 12 months' time, what would you hope to bring to that workshop that showed the developments between now and then in terms of the evidence-based action research reports that you would be producing about your influence in your own workplace? Now, this goes for everybody here. Rita wrote a very good letter to me last night about her intentions and the context, but it started, I am unfortunately, where's Rita? Where is Rita? Has she come this morning yet? No, not yet. It started, unfortunately, I am not a cooperating teacher. Now, it then went on in a very exciting way to talk about what it was she was doing. Now, none of your positions are unfortunate. You are all working in your context to try to improve your practice. And whether you are a beginning cooperating teacher, whether you are a university supervisor who is only just starting, you are an important part of a collaborative inquiry. Your learning and what you're doing with your action research is as important as someone, for example, from IPST, who might be helping to gather together the universities in Thailand to work on the school-university partnerships. That your evidence-based report is really important to share and develop. Now, I just want to go through just some of the work that, again, might excite you, but which is different for each individual and each group in this room. You have all got different contexts. But what is great about your work together in Thailand is that you can actually cooperate. You've already got a tremendous advantage over other groups that I've worked with over the world, because you easily move into your groups, you can cooperate together and help each other, and this is an enormous strength of a Thai action research community that could develop over the next 12 months. Now, I'd like to give you some examples of the work that I think each group could undertake in creating your own curriculum for the day. Now please still forgive me with your names, but is it Akarat? What? Yeah. Your questions to me through the email, really excellent. What I've done is I responded to a number of the groups this morning. I think about 4 or 5 groups have got email from me, and I'll be coming around the rest of the groups during the morning to check how your inquiries are going. But I've sent one to your group to actually say what it is I hope to come round to do. And if I just go through the groups here, and you just see, I'd just like to check that, for example, the group from the Institute, the IPTS, the Institute, for the Promotion of the Science and Technology, I've suggested that the group from IPST, because I had an email last night to say that what we ought to be creating is not just the school-university partnerships, but a dynamic relationship, which was a 3-way relationship between IPST and the school-university partnerships. So I've suggested that the IPST group could work on ways in which they could develop from this workshop today, so that in 12 months' time, they were gathering together people from the school-university partnerships to look at the evidence-based action research reports that you've produced from now until then. So you have a workshop or a conference to actually present your action research reports, and that IPST could play a really important role in helping to gather you together to share those reports, so you could see what had come over the 12 months. Now, I want to make this point because action research is sometimes seen not to be scientific. Now, with IPST supporting both science and technology, I want to suggest that IPST could embrace action research as a scientific form of inquiry. Because that process of you expressing your problems or concerns, imagining what to do, acting, and as you're acting, gathering data, evaluating your actions in terms of your effectiveness, and producing a report which is validated through the rigorous criticism of colleagues, is a scientific inquiry. It is a scientific process that a Nobel Prize winner scientist, Peter Medawar, would recognize as scientific inquiry, because it starts with a question, you develop a possible world in your imagination, and he says, we invent, and we modify, and we criticize these possible worlds we create until the end by being stories of real life, which your narratives, your stories of your learning become these stories of real life. And in that sense, and it follows on from the work of John Dewey in the 1890s and the early 1900s, this is a form of scientific inquiry. Now, where IPST could help education and research in Thailand and the work that you're doing to advance is by focusing on the use of the new technology in the creation of your accounts. So if IPST would organize another workshop in 12 months' time, which was highlighting your use of technology in your research reports, so that it's gradually coming into the research reports you're producing, where at the moment nobody has produced a multimedia narrative with the use of digital technology, then this would be a great service that IPST could serve in bringing that 3-way collaboration together. Now, I hope I'm making sense there, because I've sent to the representatives of IPST, I sent this morning an advert for, we call it a seminar or workshop, we call it a colloquium, at Liverpool Hope University in July, which is actually trying to do something similar. The director of this centre for the Child, Family and Society, Joan Walton, is gathering together people who will bring their evidence-based accounts to share them, so that we can then develop a publication to show the nature of the knowledge that we are creating. I have sent that, we call it a flyer. It's something that's sent around the internet. It's a very attractively produced invitation to come to this colloquium, and it's the kind of thing that I'm suggesting that the representatives from IPST might work on, thinking 12 months ahead, what would they want to invite you to as a workshop to share your action research reports. Okay? Now, each group has got quite different contexts, but I want to suggest, and you know that I've sent around a number of suggestions to the majority of the room, and I'm going to come around the rest of the groups, that you all take this problem that you are leaders in action research, you're going to go back, as somebody who might be becoming a cooperating teacher like Rita, or you've got someone who's just becoming a university supervisor, but you can all work in your groups. You've got someone who's actually experienced in actually working with teachers and schools and students, but you've all got the problem of working in a culture that has become rather passive. You learn by listening. You're very attentive and courteous. You've got great skills in cooperative learning, but you need to shift your culture to one of inquiry learning. Now, the person who's done a lot of this work is a superintendent called Jack Whitehead in Canada. Her doctoral thesis is in the living theory section, and I've put 2 papers in the What's New section of my website that Jackie DeLong collaborated with and presented at the American Education Research Association, that was about 4 weeks ago in San Francisco, which is looking at the whole issue of developing a culture of inquiry. Now, the context was one of poverty, where the American Education Research Association had that as a theme. But the 2 papers, and I contributed to these papers in the What's New section, with these 2 other Canadian educators, Liz Campbell and Kathleen Griffin, you'll see there where our use of multimedia, our use of digital technology, in the creation of a culture of inquiry, where Kathy and Liz, who are teachers, one of primary, one of secondary, Jackie is the university supervisor, tutoring their masters. I am an external academic coming to support Jackie and the teachers. So it's rather similar to the relationships which you're all creating together. But in those papers you will see our use of the technology, our use of the idea of creating a culture of inquiry. And I think all of you have got that problem. So you could all take that as a shared problem, and remember what I said about participatory action research, that is where you all come with a shared problem, and there is a we in the question. So you could say, how do we improve the school-university partnerships, and what is your part to play in that? How are you contributing to the success of school-university partnerships? That could be as a cooperating teacher, a university supervisor, or a member of IPST trying to gather your research and share it. Now, what I'm hoping is that you will now start to create your curriculum together. You've got some very exciting responses. I'll just show you on my mail system just some of the contributions that you've already made and that I can respond to. But as I go through, you will see that at the moment I haven't responded to the, is this the Suanda Rajabat University, Koan Ken University, and is this Burapa? How do I say Burapa? Burapa. Yes. Yes. The Burapa University. I need to work with you, but on the Rangsit University, the King, is this King Mongkut's? Mongkut. The King Mongkut Institute, again, I need to come round and talk with, is this Somkiat? Somkiat. Somkiat. And again, I've got, is this Paytun? You must help me with the pronunciation. And also, is this Thanongsa? Thanongsa, yes? Great. And again, Nateen, we have actually talked. I really liked your analysis of the government, the ministry, the university, the department, and this is something everybody could use. And I will be circulating that to everyone to suggest they use it as a framing for their actual research. In Thaksin University, with Singh Suit, there's this Konvika and Kasim and Suwarni. I've actually sent this morning an email to make some suggestions. How is the Thaksin? Could I just see, is Thaksin University? That Thaksin. Anybody else? Okay, Thaksin. Now, I've actually sent an email to you all to suggest an area that you might cooperate on. So you might decide to get together as a cooperating group to work on this together from Thaksin University. Again, Kasasat University, I'm going to come round and Akarat, you had the lovely questions, Chatri and others have sent the suggestions, really powerful suggestions, and I will come round and work with you to look at this whole area of the culture of inquiry, about how you might promote this, given the problems you've all got in terms of the Thai culture being creating rather a passive one in terms of inquiry, although you've got great strengths in terms of cooperation and the shared values together. Now, what I'd like to happen now is for you to get into your groups, like the Thaksin group, and I see you're spread across the room, and I'd like you to work together on this area of the action research as you develop the school-university partnerships. Kasasat, you've been working together, I think, already. Now, I will come round and with the Institute for the promotion of science and technology, I would like very much, again, to work with you just to see if this idea that the dynamic trio of IPST and the universities and the schools could actually work together to actually promote the school-university partnerships. And then I will come round the other universities that I've actually, some I've emailed, some I haven't, and I hope to make contact with all of you by certainly the end of the morning. But could I just ask now, in terms of what I would like you to do in your groups is clear to you, because I'm shifting, and I hope this is okay now, the responsibility which I've taken as tutor for the last 4 days. So I'm hoping that I help to move you through the curriculum and the resources that I brought to you so you can see how to access them. I now want you to feel the responsibility which comes with inquiry learning of you taking the responsibility for the creation of your own curriculum. And this is quite a big move. It's one that you might not be used to with your students and certainly with pupils in schools, helping them to create the questions that matter to them and then helping them to solve those questions or problems. So what I'd like to do is, if you will move into those groups, and this is why I do want you to work in groups today, and to start to create your own curriculum from the kind of questions that you think to be important to you to solve. So in about 20 minutes, I'll just pause and I'll just how things are going. And I'll come round, and if you actually put your hand up or ask me to join you, I can come and help individuals if you've actually got a question about your inquiries. So could you move into your groups, please, and get these kind of questions underway for your own curriculum. in your university? Are you open to something? There are 3 from your university. So it's very important to work together. I will come and talk with you about what you can do together. 'City partnerships. Are you sure that
partnership Knockknock Baskerville?
yes, the students, that is important. What are you doing for your students? But if I have understood what is happening in Thailand, yes, see how you won't get it wrong. Okay. Thank you so
with us, it's maybe a few, so I think it's better that we have a communication more than after we send our students to the school around.
Can I just know your names and the university? Oh yes, I've seen one of those. Yes, nice. Yes, it's on time. I love ideas, improving the communication. Now, if you can talk about what it
ปีเยี่ยมนี่ก็คือยอดเยี่ยมใช่ไหมผู้เยี่ยมที่จะเป็นสอนที่จะไปสอนทุกปีเยี่ยมส่วนนั้นเป็นที่โรงเรียนกับเยอะที่มันปิดงานทางดีถึงแม้ไม่ได้มีบอกอะไร
บ้านก็แต่เราก็สนุกไปสอนเด็กของเรียนวิทยาศาสตร์แล้วกันก็คงจะเป็นเด็กที่ค่อนข้างสนใจเรียนแล้วก็เป็นคนดีอะไรเงี้ยนะก็โอเค
ตอนนี้เรากำลังวิเคราะห์ดูว่าครูที่เราจะตั้งไปเนี่ยมันจะต้องมีความสามารถอะไรบ้างใครบอกว่าคอนเทนต์เนี่ยเราไม่กลัวหรอกเพราะว่าเรามี
excellent. Yes, yes. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is very good. And understand how within the school, working with students, you can get enquiry learning in science going within the Thai schools. So that is very good at the moment. So please keep your conversation going and work out what each individual might contribute to this process. Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
รถยนต์มันจะยิ่งมีความยากขึ้นไปแล้วก็เราหลักสิ่งที่ต้องเอกสารที่ต้องกรอกแล้วก็เรามีการดูเวลาลง
ก็ได้ได้ได้ได้รู้แต่ว่าผมที่ว่าผมอธิบายมันช้าแล้วก็ก็อีก
ไม่ทำอะไรกันวันนั้นพัฒนา
จะรู้แบบนี้
Inquiries that you're all wanting to undertake, and that idea that you're creating your own curriculum, which has come out of your own context and your own issues, which for me is one of the most exciting times of the workshop, because it means that you're now taking the responsibility for your inquiries, and they really are focused on what it is that you want to do to improve your practice. Now, I just want to check something in terms of what is coming out of your different contexts, because it's only by sharing that I think you'll be able to help each other to improve both your practice, but also this idea of you as knowledge creators, because action researchers do two things. They work to improve their practice, and they also research to create knowledge that can be shared with others, so that that can also influence what is going on in the wider context, as well as your individual universities, classrooms, working with the cooperating teachers. So I just want to check in terms of the inquiries that are coming out of the groups. Now, again, please forgive me with my pronunciations, but I like some of the individual emails you've sent to me, and I was just having a look at Ekapum's questions here, which I'm going to respond to individually. Where I get your emails asking particular questions, I will send it back to you, but I'll also copy the group into that response. So with the group here, with Ekapum's questions about the critical friend, about, besides using critical friend, these are really good questions. What should the researchers do to avoid bias in their work? How can we promote both cooperating teacher and pre-service teacher to conduct their own action research project during the pre-service teacher student-teacher period in the school? Now, it might be that you would all like my responses to those questions. And just for some of these individual emails that I really think are useful to you all, I will copy the group in. There was a very good, is it Akarat? There was a very good set of questions about validation from Akarat. I was able to send her this morning only about 5 or 6 pages of a tutor in a university that had done his action research supervising pre-service teachers and also in-service, we say in-service teachers, teachers in continuing professional development programs, like, for example, your cooperating teacher who will be studying his or her practice. And Akarat was asking about the use of a validation group to demonstrate that improvements have taken place. And I was able to share an extract from this researcher who's called Martin Forrest. What Martin had done in his validation group, we had 3 validation groups, and the first one didn't accept that Martin had demonstrated his point, where he claimed to be improving the student-teacher's learning. But after the 3rd validation group, the validation group was satisfied that the evidence that he was producing demonstrated he'd done what he claimed to do. And Akarat was asking about how to integrate, if you like, the data from the validation group into a report which can be seen to be rigorous. And Martin's examiners commended his research because of the quality of these validation groups. So again, I'll let everybody know where you can access those materials. So don't hesitate to send me individual emails that you feel are important. But now just to share some of the inquiries that are coming out. Now, as I say, just forgive me with my pronunciation, but what I suppose I was really interested in is the questions, and I think, is it King Mongoose? Is this, it's the Institute of Technology, so I was really impressed with your 2 questions that we talked about earlier. And I think everybody will have similar action research questions, and I just wondered if you'd mind just perhaps reading out your 2 questions. Is that okay, about the partnership and also about the students? No, I don't think, no, this is not working. I don't know. This one is. Would you mind? Just, yeah? Thanks. I'll give you this. Because you had the 2 really good questions. Thanks. Could you tell the group those 2 questions?
Yes.
Yeah, good. It is okay.
I have that question. I asked him about curriculum. I should have 2 curriculum. The first curriculum is for my partnership to provide action plan, or make planning, or want to share, talk about sharing resource. And the other one, curriculum for our students, how to integrate research, action research.
That's great.
In practical. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, I think you will all have those kind of inquiries. And they were well formed that you need a curriculum for the action research to improve the school-university partnership, and you will also have an action research project to try to help the students, in the sense of developing a curriculum that can help the students to improve their practice. So I thought that, and again, this is the King Mongoose, is that right? Mongoose University or Institute of Technology, that I would like you all to know that the 3 colleagues from the university will be working on those 2 curriculum, so that you will be able to check in several months' time how that is going, so we can all learn from each other. When we come to the really interesting suggestion that rather than a 2-way partnership with the school and the university, that IPST forms the 3rd side of this triad, that is a 3-way process to improve practice, that the suggestions that were coming out from IPST colleagues, ST colleagues, were, for example, if I've understood, one was to create an archive of your accounts, of your explanations, your research reports, so that they can be shared throughout Thailand from this centre for promoting science and technology. The other one was that you could be encouraged to present your research reports at national conference so that you could spread the influence of your ideas. And again, that could be supported with colleagues at IPST. So this gives you a different support than the one that you will be developing within your own universities. Now, could I just check, is there anybody else that now from your groups that you feel, yes, we have now been talking about our own curriculum, what matters to us in our universities that we're actually going to be working on? Is there anybody that wouldn't mind just coming up to the front just to share some of those issues? Would you mind? Are you okay to do that? Yes, please. Do come to the front, that's good. You are? Is that working? Yes, it is. Good.
Good morning, everybody. Today our group will present from 3 handsome gentlemen. We all from Thaksin University. The first one is Dr. Kasem. He will present about developing understanding in action research and role of participants.
Good.
เราต้องเก็บไปส่งข้างหน้า
Today I very exciting. Yesterday I listened about story about Dr. Wan Kipa Lolenka. She inspired me to present today. I try to overcome about communicate my idea to everybody in this room. Today I would like to present about the first question. We have to develop common understanding on action research and the role of participant. The first, forming a question of the kind, how do I improve what I am doing? The rest of I talk today. I thank you very much for your suggestion in my group. Yes. The second, being clear about what it is that they want to improve, describe a problem or concern. And thus, describe why they want to improve it and producing an action plan of what they are going to do to improve their practice and acting to gathering data to make adjustment on how effective their action in improve their practice and evaluating their effectiveness, modify the problem, and the last, producing explanation of the learning and education influence. Yes, thank you. And the second, that's why Ajahn Suvit.
Yes. Okay. My name is Singha Sukong from Faksin. I will present in the second part. Second part, our group will be discuss about the creating win-win situation for the university part and school part. First of all, we have to set the meeting of the developing in MOU understanding. In our group discussion, we separate in two parts. That part is university and that part is school. For the part of university, okay, part of university, in case of lecturer, will be do the action research and from the theory to practice and develop their teaching in the part of lecturer. In the part of school, are composed of the administrator, mentor teacher, and student. For the administrator, will be get the reward from the school evaluation and develop the school-based curriculum. For the teacher will be get the experience about the action research and develop their understanding about the teaching process on the PCK. And for the student will be symmetrical solve about the real student problem. That's all.
One more. Great.
Yes, my name is Suvit. คงพักดี I will talk the third topic. We also have some concern regarding to real situation in school. We have 4 aspects to pay attention. The first, administrator. We choose convince administrator to see the advantage of doing this action research. For example, increase school reputation, and they will have action plan, and we will give some successful model to them. For academic mentor, there are process for selecting mentor and professional development for mentoring teacher by IPST. For parents, the school will take responsibility to organize meeting amongst parents, administrator, pre-service teacher, and school teacher and university lecturer. The last, for the gifted student, we should develop curriculum that is appropriate for gifted student. Thank you.
I think your applause just shows how clear that statement was. And I was thinking, as you were saying it, it was like with Professor Van Dieper's yesterday, it would be very good to have that particular video onto YouTube. So that those statements, which are really powerful and clear, could be very helpful to colleagues to know that is what a group at Thaksin University are going to be working on in their action research. You think if in 6 months or 12 months you have got your research reports which are closely related to what you have just been saying you are going to do, and IPST place your research report on an archive for everyone to access, I think that a lot of very good learning will be spread through the education system in Thailand. So together, you've created something, as I say, really powerful with that curriculum. And you've also just got that experience and the confidence, which is the first time to come in front of the group. But how powerful that was. You could do that in any international conference and you would be clearly understood as having something very significant to say. Now, is there anybody else in relation to your groups and your conversations that you would like to just share with us before I go on, just to show you where you could access the papers that were given at the American Education Research Association, which focused on a culture of inquiry, and there was an issue of poverty. The poverty that we were looking at was the poverty in academic writing to communicate the values and the energy that you've been expressing today. So as you came up and you presented, I wish I'd had a video focused on your colleagues, because your pleasure together and then the applause shows the support of a collaborative community. Now this is what we were saying in our paper to AERA was missing from the academic journals. And the papers I show you now about a culture of inquiry are focused on getting the students to ask the questions, just as you're now doing in terms of your curriculum, and using the new technology and the digital technology to actually show ourselves in our own practices in our classrooms to communicate our meanings. But that was a lovely illustration. If we'd had that video of you all, it would demonstrate a really important value within Thai culture for cooperating and assisting each other. But you affirm each other. You have a lovely way of celebrating each other's success. So do not miss this out of your research reports. Now, could I ask, is there any other group that you're feeling, yes, you know, we've been working on these, Professor Van Tieper is going to carry one of you out here by force to explain it. Yes, please, come. Good. Yes.
Good morning. I'm Nokmani Chewachari. It's my first time to be stand and speak English with you. Thank you, Dr. Vantipa. The same inspired me too. Thank you too.
Which university?
I'm from Burapha University. Burapha, yes, it is part of Thailand. After I discussed with my colleague, Dr. Alpanchanit, and we found the problem that we lack communication between university and the school. I think it's maybe the seniority. Seniority is not just only the old age, but it's maybe the high position. Sometimes the school teacher is afraid to consult with the teacher in the university, because mostly teacher is in the university is the doctor, right? So they afraid to consult or talk with us. Just is my opinion, just our opinion. So we plan to solve the problem by design to make like a workshop like this. Maybe we have a meeting between the school teacher and pre-service teacher and the teacher in the university, and make a workshop for coaching and mentoring them. And we plan to use the listen study process to help them to teaching. First, after we make a workshop and then we prepare the workshop, we conclude not only the education field, but we plan to use to ask the science field to cooperate this workshop too. First, after we have a workshop, we plan to use the listen study process. First, we use the class planning, and second, we use the class implementation and observing the class in the school. And next, we have to to make an evaluation in the class. We make a group of validation, right? And from Professor Whitehead's suggestion, we plan to use the video tape recorder, record all the time during we discuss before teaching, during teaching, and after teaching, and discuss with the validation group. Next, reconsideration of the class. After that, we have to improve the class again and evaluation again. And final, we share the idea, and make a report and do the research and make a report for the research. That's all.
Yeah, no. Excellent. Yes, thank you. Could I just ask, you say Burapha, is it Burapha University? And with your names, I've got, is it Amru Chanit? You are. Hang on. It's not here. Not Pani. That's right. Not Mani. Good. Thank you. Now, not Mani. That was the first time speaking English in front of a group. Now, I think you can feel, if you like, the energy that was being expressed. You have, when I say attractive manner, it will draw your students into learning with you. The whole group at the university here, you draw people in with an energy, and you affirm. We say you affirm each other. At Kasasar University here, we were talking about how to attract the cooperating teacher, student teacher, into the action research. I was saying, if they experience you working together with that energy and the pleasure of actually working in this way, it will attract people in to share their inquiries with you. As you were speaking, your communications carried that pleasure. It attracts people into the space with you. That is the importance of the video. It actually shows some of the qualities you cannot put on pages of text. And I don't want to lose what you've said today because it's just on a piece of paper. I'm hoping that you will make sure, and I will give you time, half an hour, 40 minutes today, to write this up so that it can be shared, either on your website, in an email to me, but it's a record, a document of what you have done today in creating your living curriculum. Yes? That's really good if that worked together. That was really excellent. Any others that you're feeling you would like to share before I go on to explain how to access this work on a culture of inquiry? Because all of you are going to have to work within a culture that has created a passivity because of that issue of seniority. You've got this really positive quality of working together. It really is superb. So don't omit that from your inquiries. Your video will actually show the quality of your work, your cooperating work together. But you do have this issue of getting inquiry learning to go. And just think, it's only 5 days, but that's the first time you've had that confidence to come out. Professor Van Tipa will have hopefully a videotape on YouTube next week, because I think that really encouraged people to come and actually communicate. And that, again, that was your first time to the group. It was excellent. And you have the support of the university. Any other points that you would like to raise? Because, yes, please, come. Yes.
Test. Morning, everybody. We are from Content University. Okay. My group is a lot of cooperative teachers. In the past, when the student teacher come and practice teaching in school, I have observed and suggest, and we have observed and suggest about them. They have a strong content. And highly concept, but they can transfer to teaching process skill by activity, by any model for apply and help students in class. They teach teacher style. They teach a teacher center with desk lecture. Yes, I want to improve skill. I want to improve skill to them with student center and develop lesson plan, develop model and new piece of it. I will apply action research to my work with student teacher.
Good morning, everybody. I'm excited. Ajahn Manipa is inspiration to talk this topic. Okay. We have proposed to develop together between university supervisor and preserver. Training curriculum. One plan we work together to develop skill study student to learning. Two preserving teaching in class cooperating teacher. And three, observe and collect data about environment of classroom. Four, reflect activity of classroom, bias and reflect knowledge. Okay. It's very excited. What do they learning in class about? What they want to improve in the next time? And next station we must to do for 4 months. I think I can collect data about personal development and show for develop preserver by research. Okay, thanks.
That's really good. Nice thing. Ken, is that right? Corn Ken University. And all 5 of you there, all from Corn Ken. Yes. Because you begin to get an idea of where the groups are in Thailand for the different universities involved in these projects. So it's great to have you present, and the first time you've spoken with your English in front of a group and you were communicating clearly. But I know it is nervy. You feel nervous, but when you've done it a few times, I think the confidence will come because your ideas are really excellent. And if that group you're working with could produce their research report on what you were talking about, and we could get it into an archive with the IPST, so other people could share that, I think there will be a lot of important learning that could be actually influencing other places. So I hope you will continue to work on that for your action research in your university. Are there any other points that anybody wants to raise before I... Yes, please. Cool. We have... I think this is Casa Art. See, my Thai is far worse than your English. Yes.
We are not come from the language center. We come from the Faculty of Education.
Yes.
We talk a lot about how can we strengthen the partnership, and we have written and designed the program. But at the beginning, we are discussing about the most important thing, and we think that the secret to the success is about changing people belief. We're talking about change the belief about the effective teachings and learning, effective way of teaching. And we try to change other people's belief. Then Dr. Whitehead came to our group, joined our discussion, and he gave us very good question, and he said that we, as an action researcher, we cannot change other people's belief. What we can do is to change our belief and to affect our practice. So we change the aim of our program a bit. Rather than try to design like a workshop and try to change the cooperating teachers' belief to like how can we persuade or encourage the cooperating teachers and our student teacher to do an action research. And I asked Dr. Whitehead back about how can we persuade the cooperating teachers